pleased to be joined by one of the great instructors in the world of golf, Sean Foley. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
All right, we are at a special place, and I know it's personal for you because in a moment or two we're going to bring out a young man who's already won on the PGA Tour who you work with, and that is Cameron Champ. How long have you two been working together?
I guess roughly since he was around 15 or 16. I can't put my finger on it, but for a long enough time.
He has extraordinary ability. Can that be intimidating for someone like yourself?
No, I mean, for the most part with the young guys, we're just, trying to make sure that they sleep, stay hydrated, and eat on the course. So there's nothing, the thing is with the young players on tour, they get lifted up, they get a lot of pressure put on them, but they're still 24-year-olds.
Okay.
And so, experience is going to come from making good and bad decisions, so you're just kind of there not to judge and just be there to support them.
When you started working with him, though, I want, if I said to you, this young man, Cameron Champ, tell me about him in one sentence, how would you have told me about a teenage Cameron Champ and what he was to you optically then?
Well, as a young kid, he was a classy, thoughtful kid. Great manners, gracious, but to watch him hit balls, the first time I saw him hit a ball, I can't repeat what just blurted out of my mouth at that moment. It's like when you see a car accident, there's no way to not swear in front of your kids. It's just like that. And that was only a 4-iron. So basically what happened is I saw him for an hour because a friend of mine, John Wood, who caddied for my player Hunter Mahan at the time, was friends with the Champ family and had helped Cameron, and said, this kid's going to be in Orlando, would you like to take a look? Just tell me what you think. But he didn't really tell me much more than that. So I was very unprepared for that moment. And then after I watched him for about an hour, I called my wife and said, what do I have tomorrow? She said, you have 8 lessons. I said, anyone from out of town? She said, no. I said, cancel everyone. I'll give them a free lesson. I'm going to spend a day with this kid. And so it went from being in awe to then watching him hit some wedges and going, all right, we got work to do. No, you can't both, right?
No, you can't.
But you can over time. But what he does have, you can't teach.
Right.
But that other stuff's all is learned through being passionate about the mundane and showing up. And where passion is unavailable, discipline is required.
Well, with that, I know how happy he is to be home because he doesn't get home a lot anymore because his life is on the road playing the game of golf at the highest level, and he's already won on the PGA Tour. Cameron Champ, come on up here. Now, Cameron, for someone like Sean to see you hit a 4-iron and act like he's just seen... Right. He's seen things at a pretty extraordinary level.
Yeah.
I want you to describe your relationship with him. What do you want from Sean Foley?
Yeah, I mean, from the start,
This is going to be helpful, actually.
Yeah, I mean, from the start, it's like you said, I had a lot of power. I just didn't have the extra tools. So to start, I didn't see him much. I would only see him once or twice a year. We'd mainly just talk on the phone and be more just kind of a life coach, kind of a big brother effect, which is what I needed. Like you said, as a 15-year-old, you can only teach them so much. And for me, it was always the mental aspect. Being where I was from and being what we went through, I was extremely hard on myself and made things extremely hard just because of the pride I had and what I wanted to just prove. As a kid, I felt like I had to prove something to everyone, which I really didn't. So that's one barrier that took a while for me to get over. And still, in some aspects, it still affects me. So it's just a maturity factor, but I think he's helped me more off the course than on the course, for sure.
Okay, well, we have some work to do, and that includes warming up. So I'm going to let you kind of get in your play box over there. And when it comes to warming up, Cameron, and what's going to be interesting is for you to talk about your process and for Sean to talk about kind of his interpretation of what it is that you're doing and then transferring it to an audience, not only right here live, but obviously joining us on Golf Channel. Body activation as opposed to working on your golf swing. Ideally, is body activation Thursday through Sunday and working on your golf swing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday right here?
Correct. Yeah, I think even last year, I think I got in too much of trying to find it if it wasn't there. That's one thing, like I said, trying to be more structured. I've always liked structure. I've always at times I'll lack off if I don't have it. So that's something I like. I like discipline. So like you said, just having a structured practice warm up. It's just a warm up. It's not trying to stay out here. If I'm push cutting it, it's not trying to let's get more inside and try to flip your hands. Like it's just a warm up. That's all it is really.
Okay, I'm going to let you hit a few shots with that
I
short
think-
iron.
I think as he's hitting balls, I'll speak to it because I definitely came here to see him hit balls, right? Is what we tried to do in the warm-up is if you look at what Cameron needs to do to become the best player he can be, I think if he does, that will probably grace the top of the world rankings over, I think he can get to where DJ got in 3/4 of the time, right? Because the things, they've already laid down the foundation, they've already showed you what it is. So pretty much 80% of our warm-up, I put out balls that are placed like a diamond, okay? And the diamond is a symbol in the sense that the only way to create a diamond is through a lot of time, a lot of pressure, and a lot of heat. And so that's the symbolic aspect of the diamond. And I do different things for my different players with this. But basically, what'll happen is that players kind of like to do what they do, and then they have belief systems. So I've had players in the past who said, I got to make sure I can hit a high draw with a 3-wood or I can't play today. And it's like, that's great, but there's 2 3-wood shots, one's off a tee, and there's 9 mid-iron shots. So maybe we should hit more mid-irons. So for Cameron, if you look at the data, he's going to be inside of 160 yards pretty much most often. So focusing from 160 to 80 yards on the range as we warm up, and then him hitting on a TrackMan to a number so he can gauge his field.
Okay, so he just said 80 to 160. So let's go through the progression. When you are warming up and you're activating for competition, you start with that club specifically, or just in general, you'll hit, do you have a ball count before you play a competitive round?
Yes.
What is it?
Well, at this point, it's roughly around 50 balls. I used to hit more.
Yeah.
So,
It takes time, like the way we do it, because he's in it. And so it's 50. At one point I had him on 38, but then he was like, I think I need more, but some other guys are like late 30s, and 40 was like enough. So the thing is, you're not going to get much better in your warm-up than you were. To get a lot better, the amount of repetition with the amount of focus you have during that repetition is how you learn things, right? So doing that first, getting his feels, getting him moving, and then him trying to start to get into getting ready to go out there and play the game.
Okay, so you've transitioned to what club now?
right now I'm at 50, so usually my warm-up, or I'm at 55. Usually my warm-up, I'll hit 60 through pitch and wedge.
Okay.
And then, like I said, we'll do different yardages. It's kind of a new plan we came up with this year. Like I said, I like structure. I like having something set. So, we'll hit 60 through pitch and wedge, different numbers, different flights. And then we'll go, a certain amount of balls with an 8-iron, 5-iron, 2 drivers, and we go to the tee.
Okay, so I'm going to let you continue to hit, and Sean, when he is progressing through the bag in a warm-up, and he was talking about flighting, how do you know, what do you see that you know that his body is responding in the way that it should in order for him to hit it through the 9 windows that most of these guys do?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell more about a warm-up on what people did like the day before. So if we traveled in late and we're tired and all that, you got to pay attention. So in a warm-up, I'll say at that point, like when guys are reacting to bad shots on the range, you just know their resilience is totally down. So it's like, look, bud, today it's probably going to feel like the world's against you. It just feels that way. Just keep playing. So from the progression of the warm-up, is he knows how to hit all the shots.
Yep.
I'm looking a lot at just literally setup and posture, because I think it's impossible to swing the same every day, but it's a lot easier in this game to stand a similar way. And you wouldn't really work on setup with a shortstop, but you would with a pitcher, because the pitcher is about to be proactive. All these other sports are reactive. So that's what we all love about the game and hate at the same time, is just how every single day it's different. And if you look at the highlights in sports, it's like, it's not a guy who knew he had 7 seconds to go down the court, go right, go left, and then dunk over someone.
Okay.
If he did that, he'd probably trip, right? And that's what golf is. right?
Yeah. You've got, is that 8-iron?
This is pitching wedge.
A pitching wedge. All right.
So show me what we like to work on a lot, because look, someone's gift is going to be their curse. So the fact that he can carry it 350 yards, I've yet to see the guy who can do that and then hit it really soft as well. Now he's getting a lot better at it, but his nervous system is wired to go. So it'd be like if I was coaching Usain Bolt and he wanted to come back and win the 800, which I think he probably could. But every practice at the start, he'd be like, how was that? I'd say, you were too fast at the start. He'd go, man, I thought I was slow. Because he's just fast. Do you see what I'm saying? So
of course.
I think what Cameron growing up with his wedges and stuff, he thought it was more mental. But like I said, he's got to be able to, a wedge swing and a driver swing is not even the same sport. It's not even the same thing.
Hit one more wedge. And then
Show us what you would do, kind of with your wrist and with your release point and your stance and all that, to have this just come out soft. Okay?
Yeah, so I mean, prior as a kid, I mean, I had so much angle. I mean, my angle would be about here with a pitching wedge through impact, so it was about here. So I mean, you have no control, nothing.
It's a good problem though, folks. Remember, life is not about having no problems, it's about having better problems.
So I mean, now we're trying to get more, so feeling more right hand, which then gets me going through the ball more, keeps me staying tall, and I'm able to hold my finish. So, you know, through impact, it's more, I feel like I'm getting more right hand, and there's a lot less angle, which over time, even in the last 6 months, if you look at the videos, it's a dramatic difference.
Casting, we're casting it. Just, I know we're going to totally ruin your golf swing now, but we're actually trying to do what you do.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he has too much lag. Another good problem.
So it comes off a lot more softer and a lot better ball flight.
Soft and spinny. So show them the simple. See, what I did is because I work with so many players on tours that when Cameron came out this year, I knew the exact recipe for what he needed to do, and I screwed him up about 30%. So we've now regulated what it was and what makes us great together. And so it's just to really sit there and inspire him to be patient as we do this for years to come. And that's kind of the idea. So on this next one, Cameron, I want you to attempt, not with the body, but with the hands, to hit it higher with no divot. So if Cameron sits there and works on hitting the ball high with no divot, it's a nice way to technically make it better without being technical. Do you know what I mean? And I don't expect when he does it to not see a divot. You want a divot. It's just more of an intention.
All right, now we're gonna transition from that wedge. Now we're gonna move to driver because I came here to see him hit driver. Sean, know your role.
I've always said to Cam that the day he goes into the bathroom and he's sitting there doing that, and he can hear another player talking to his agent about playing with Cameron, and he says, yeah, he hits it far, but his wedges are insane. I said, at that point, you probably have about 3-4 majors, kid.
That's true. When people see you hit your driver, there are a couple things that stand out for me. Is one, you know, you're put together, but you're not Brooks Koepka in terms of mass.
Yeah.
You're not Dustin Johnson in terms of height.
And mass.
And mass.
Gary Woodland, height and mass.
And you also have little to no violence in your golf swing. How do you produce what you produce when that face hits that ball?
Well, like you
Good
said, it's like you said, we had to sit back and kind of look on the year and things we tried to do, but we're kind of doing the opposite of. Versus, you know, I first saw Sean on the force plates. I go 100% on my left side, and I go 100% through, which I'm the only person on tour who does that.
The only other person who does that is
Jamie
Sadlowski.
Yeah.
And he's a 2-time world long drive champion who's 6'1", 170 pounds. And so the funny story is at Safeway a couple years ago, they put the boys together, right? And some of the difficulty last year is you got a kid, he's not been a prolific winner his whole career, wins, and next thing you know, he's in all the feature groups on the Golf Channel. It's like, whoa. And now all of a sudden, this is like every tee. And so that takes time to acclimate to. But the idea is that they're playing with John Daly, Jamie Sadlowski, and they get on 17 and they both smash one down there. And there's one short of the green and one in the bunker. And Jamie Sadlowski walks all the way to the bunker and goes, oh, sorry, Cam, this is your ball. I'm not used to this. And Cameron's like, neither am I, sir. I just think that's just so good, right? So if Cameron wanted to put 30 pounds on and swing a 50-degree driver and do the things that he would need to do in the gym, he could get to that speed. But if you look at the World Long Drive, those guys are like normally 6'6", 260 yards. So Cameron is, all this is about the generation of energy and then being able to create a ton of velocity. And so when he explains it, he just calls it his slingshot. So he kind of goes up, then he gets the club behind him, and then he slings it through on the way through. And that's, like if you look at Tim Lincecum, 5'9", 162 pounds, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, they're generating speed the exact same way. Basically what they do is they turn themselves into rubber bands. So if you look at like a ground force idea, which is used in golf all the time now, he had one of the lowest force factors I'd seen out of any player, and that's when I had to question like what even the science was. Because here I'm seeing this, and this kid is just sending it, and I'm looking at the number. I turned my force plate on 3 times because I thought it was broken. So the cool thing is I called my friend Justin Rose, who I coach, and I said, I think I know how to get like 25 yards out of this driver now. And so thank you, Cameron. You can thank Justin for the many things he's taught me that I've tried to pass on to you.
Well, as you've seen, Sean likes Downton Abbey. I like Iron Man. I like action films. Can you please hit that driver?
Oh, trust me, I have to fight like, okay, no more wedges. Let's hit some bombs.
It gets small really fast.
Yeah.
Now,
You see that? Doesn't sound 24, does it?
speed kills. Kills in every sport.
Oh, yeah.
It's the ultimate separator. For you to get to between 126 and 130 miles per hour.
Yeah.
You can't on the range.
I can on the
No,
It's crazy.
The 4 or 5 at the end only comes when it matters most.
Yeah,
Correct?
I've cracked 131, 132. But if I'm sitting on the range, I can swing as hard as I possibly can. I won't hit 126.
He
So
can't.
it's
The
just-
thing is, what I didn't know this year is that he can't get the ball in the air on the range with his driver.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, come on, dude, we got to get this
We
thing
need to
up
be
in the
more
air.
behind
And then
be more.
it'd be money on the range, and then we'd go and hit it a little sideways. But we've dealt with that, and that's the thing in a player-coach relationship. There has to be a vulnerability amongst men to go like, hey, I screwed up. I think I have a better idea, and then vice versa. Because basically, with these kids at this age, we all know kids this age. It's just about getting them to communicate, and people have become so monosyllabic. Like I said to my son the other day, "How was your day? Good. What happened at school? Nothing. So you had a good time? Yep." And then to find out from his mom that, you know, the girl that he thinks is cute is kind of rejected him, and he's totally miserable. I mean, so that's not helping, right? So it's kind of like, what are you going through? What does it feel like? And then just a while ago, I looked at some pictures. I went back to what I would say is the best driving exhibition I've ever witnessed for 3 days when he was a sophomore at Texas A&M, and we were over at the course I'm a member at Alworth. And I've never seen anything like it. He's a much better player now. But that driver then was just insane. So I looked at the setup and looked at where it went to, and then even seen the difference in the position and the grip. And I'm sitting there going, you're trying to dissect the atom, you're missing the obvious right here.
If you're going to really send one,
Yeah.
is there anything in particular that you do? What nuance occurs for you? Anything?
Yeah, typically it'd be 3 putts the hole before.
Yeah,
The ball is gone.
that's how you look at my
You hear that, Pops? That's what's...
probably.
Nothing anecdotal.
If
I
it,
mean,
if it says 380 on the shot tracker, then
putt of
just
the
look.
previous green.
Yes, and it could have been from 6 feet too. That's when it goes really far.
No, I mean, like last week, I gained, what, 8.7 shots.
You said,
and
I think,
off the tee.
I'm going to check, but I think it's a record.
Yeah, so I mean, it was, like I said, we went back to the old setup, and it was just, once I get into that groove, I was just swinging, I felt like I was swinging out of my shoes, and it was going straight as an arrow.
Okay.
So it's just, once I get into that groove, now, I used to fiddle with it and move it more up, but I don't, for me, if I fly it 10 more yards, for me, I could care less at this point. Like, you know, I feel like I hit it plenty far, and when I feel in a good setup and like how I was, I don't miss many fairways.
When you were in a groove, what's the data in the air? What does the ball look like? What's the shape? And,
You know,
and
like you
produce
said, on the
one right
range
now.
here, I'll launch it 5 or 6.
Okay.
But then once it gets to the course, it launches 7 to 8. So, and you know, my ball speed goes from 186 to 195, and then club head speed from me.
Yeah,
Like I
does
said,
anyone
126
remember-
to 130.
Let's see one.
Yeah, go ahead and smash one. Does anyone remember when Vince Carter dunked over that 7'1" center in the Olympics?
His name
So-
was Frederick Weiss.
Right?
Yeah, he was drafted by the Knicks.
So I started giving Vince is getting ready for retirement, so I started giving him some lessons, and he told me after that day he tried to jump over 6-footers for the rest of his career, and he couldn't do it. And so he said he kind of had an out-of-body experience. So it was the moment that provided like that level of athleticism. So can you imagine back nine at Augusta on number 11, you're tied for the lead. I mean, that thing's going to go 400 yards, but it's not by anything you're doing. It's just the situation and the response from the body.
Does the height of your driver, when you were at 126 and you get to 130 on the golf course on occasion, does that affect the height of the golf ball?
What do you mean, teeing it?
No.
Yeah,
In the-
speed's always going to go this
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
So it gets
Which
higher.
is why I say, like I was always, if I'm hit it low off the tee, that's good on the range because I know as soon as I get to the first tee, it's going up just immediately. So, like I said, it was a learning curve to learn versus on the range thinking, oh, I'm hitting it so low, we need to get it more up. Well, then once I get my speed going, then it's hard for me to get off my right foot, and I just stay back and I'll flip it or I'll try and save it and hold the face open. So, the other way, like I said, I'm more on top of it. I'm able to clear my body, and it's just more connected and more flowing. So.
Yeah, and the thing is for like the young kids out there, the great part about last year is that, Cameron obviously got a 2-year exemption, a dream that was created between his grandfather, his father, his mother, his sister. All that came out, and that's amazing. But the mistakes that he made, and then we made as a team after that, those bad decisions and mistakes you make turn into wisdom. And so moving forward, we're not going to be wasting a minute speculating what we need to do. I feel like we really know what we need to do. And now can we just all stay patient enough for long enough? I mean, that's all it is.
That was 293 carry in the air. Is that reasonable under these circumstances? You flew in late last night, played competitive golf, you haven't hit many balls,
Tell you,
just
it's the
carried the ball
range.
293.
That's that's that driving form he has when he's pumped up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of I feel a combination of admiration and jealousy, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, because I know
He didn't like that number you
it's the same
gave
as-
him. He
it's the
said,
same as
okay.
yesterday, like I said, I was playing well, hitting the driver well. I mean, it's one of those things. Like you said, when I'm in a good setup, it just goes. And I think I hit every drive over 340 yesterday. So it was just when I'm in a groove and I'm hitting them square on the face, it's just one of those things you can't really explain. It's just you feel good in setup, and I just
Yeah, I think that's the tricky part too, right? Because that shit turned into 8 under, but it turned into 2 under.
yeah.
Okay, now that's important because that weapon is
Yeah.
only as good as what you do after you put it where you put it,
Right.
and that is scoring.
Correct.
So the mindset for you to get out on a golf course, have a game plan, and execute it.
Yeah.
Scoring, I mean, it's about what you put on the card.
Correct.
What's the most important thing for you to shoot 65 and not 72 if the data is the same in terms of where you're hitting shots? What's the
Yep.
difference?
The difference is just, approach to green. Like you said, I have so many clubs from 160 and in. That's going to be my bread and butter for my whole career. And then it comes down to making the putts. I have some things to kind of work out within my putting, which we're doing right now. So it's all work in progress, but those are the two main categories. 160 in with regular shots, chipping around the green, and then putting for me. Because I feel like
His short
generally
game
speaking,
has improved. Like 30
even
yards
last year
in,
with how bad I
really
felt
good.
I was hitting off the tee in my percentage of fairways, I was still 10th in driving or 8th in driving.
6th.
6th. So,
But he
and
should,
it felt
Cameron
terrible.
should, Cameron, the thing is, I saw that and then I thought to myself, he should break the record in this every single year. Because the thing is, if you're on a 450-yard hole, and it's taking some time to get him to understand this, and you're hitting at 350, because the ball's moving so fast, like if you have poor contact, the cone for it moving out gets more. So people talk about on the LPGA Tour how straight some of the girls hit it. They hit 97% of their fairways for the year. But they carry at 190, so that's Cameron's 7-iron. I can't imagine him missing many fairways with a 7-iron. So it's understanding, like when he's on, he hits it in the fairway, and that becomes his benchmark. But to me, those days are almost a miracle of engineering. It's like just the most special thing possible, that club is moving that fast, if you see it in slow motion, what's happening to the shaft, I'd never show a player that because they'd never try again. So it's trying to get to understand. 350 in the rough leaves you 100 yards. We need to become the best rough player. Who was the best rough player in the history of golf? It was Tiger, by miles. And so we can put a TrackMan in there and see how it affects the speed of the ball, the launch, the spin, because he's going to be in the rough. Because it's not like where he hits it, they didn't design courses like that. That's actually where it gets tight again. So he told me one day, I'm getting 5 yarded to death in the rough, and it's like, dude, at 350, if you're 5 yards in the rough, like, good problem.
The action of playing is only a couple minutes. So your play box is when it's time to go, but you think a lot more. Your pre-shot routine. Take everybody through your process before you execute what you hope is only one of 65 decisions you make each day.
Yeah.
What do you have to do to get committed?
For me, I start out simple. I make sure, the tee height's the same every single time now. I used to tee it up higher, like I said, kind of went back. For me, I've always when I hit 1 to 2 down on it, it's perfect for me, whenever my setup is good. So I like to tee it down because if I'm hitting 2 down, it's teed up high, I'll hit it extremely high in the face. So I tee it down, make sure that's right. And for me, I always I like cuts. I don't hit it left. For me, I've always felt really comfortable with aiming majority of the time kind of left center of the fairways and then just letting it go. For me, I'll pick a spot. This is where I want to finish. And I pick kind of, it's a secondary. It's a quick, very quick. This is where I want to finish. Okay, I'm going to start it here and work it
That's
there.
it.
That's it. It's quick.
Yeah,
and,
that's pretty much, guys, the whole routine thing is so overdone in golf. Like, when the commentators are talking about he's going through his routine, he does the same routine when he hits it in the water as when he hits it dead down the middle. It's like, I've done great routines and hit it out of bounds, and I've stood over the ball, frightened to take it back and hit the best shot of the day. So I'm not so sure where I think there's a process. So him and his caddy go, where's the wind? What's the club? That's important because the more intention you can have in your process, then the clearer you'll be. So look at when you watch golf the next time. The guy who goes back to his bag twice, he never hits it on the green because he doesn't reacclimate to what the moment is now. So it's about being clutter free and knowing that is the best club. And what he has told us this year was that he feels like he wants to be way more aggressive than he's been. So he feels like they've been playing to 30 feet too much, and he just wants to. I mean, look, the guy's got 1,000 horsepower in his truck. He's an adrenaline junkie. He wants to play that way. So that's him being authentic again to who he is. Sure, he's going to make mistakes and lose tournaments because of it. But look at Rory just going pretty much all out what that's done for his career. So now you got someone who hits it as straight and 30 yards by him. And they say about Rory, about his wedges and stuff. Look, you get better at it. But when you have that one skill, look at the top of the golf world. Rory, Brooks, Rose, Johnson, Rahm. They all drive it incredible. And so it's helpful, right?
It is. I want you to reemphasize though what you just said. It's quick. You're looking at, in terms of your process, you're looking at where your line and then result.
I pick a spot where I want to finish in the fairway, and just naturally I know where I need to start it.
Okay.
It's not like I pick 2 spots.
So it's a start line, finish line, and it's quick.
It's quick. I mean, let's say I'm at this blue flag. Okay, I know I need to be set up
It's not
square,
even conscious.
roughly.
Yeah.
It's cognition. It's not conscious.
It's a natural.
Yep.
It's not something I think about. It's just a natural thing. Okay, if I'm gonna hit a soft cut or dead straight shot at the blue flag, majority of the time I'm gonna aim slightly left of it. And like I said, my miss is always a cut. I never miss left. So
Okay.
that's always been my routine.
Okay. So let's see. What is it that you're going to show everybody right now? What are you going to produce?
I'll hit kind of like last week. It's kind of like it's a lowerish, soft little cut.
Okay.
Like hole 2 last week, I had to hit it, or if I hit it straight, it would have gone through the fairway. But I'd rather overcut it. I had a good angle to the pin. So.
Okay. And that is, there are a lot of different terms. Call that a bleeder.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
the only person who shapes it that much on the PGA Tour is Bubba from the other side. Why is that? So some of my players, they can never play with that much shape because they won't be long enough. They need to go in a straight line as long as they can. But hitting it straight is really hard. Like, I know everyone in this crowd can slice it.
That was not a slice. That, by the way, that carried 317. That was a 317-yard carry Chardonnay cut. There was something.
Chardonnay.
Yeah, there's something there, but not much.
Yeah, it was. I would take
Let's see
it.
that again.
That one is straight. See, and there, like you said, that's one that say I'm aiming there and trying to cut it to that blue. I just barely towed it.
But see, that's the thing. That's the acceptance part, right? Is that he'll tow it and he doesn't want to tow it. We have a couple things we think fixes towing it, but it's like that's a dimple away from being what he wanted. So it's like, don't be so hard on yourself, dude. Like, if I could figure out how to get him to hit it in the middle of the face, or any of you every time, you would have said, first in the Fortune 500, Sean Foley, second Jeff Bezos. I charged $2 million for a lesson, right? So it's just trying to get him to recognize, like, man, that's not far off. But he demands a lot of himself, which is why he's a great player. So it's about this fine line of being, like, pushing yourself and being hard on yourself. Because being hard on yourself, you still become great, but you're not really happy doing it,
That was a towed 295-yard carry. So I'm going to have you grab an iron because I want you to show people shaping shots. And it's interesting. I've talked to a lot of people who play competitive golf who were professional athletes at the highest level, and they're plus threes, fours. They contend at the American Century, guys like Mark Mulder, Marty Fish. And I said, explain to people what's the difference between you, the guy who can shoot 65 at Whisper Rock, and him, who's an alien, who can play with the best players in the world. I have 1 or 2 shots. He has 9. 9 windows. So if I said, I want you to hit a nice tight draw, how do you produce that?
In a tournament situation, I just do it. That's just how we do it. But I mean, as far as technique-wise, I mean, a tight draw, for me, I just feel like, I'm coming a little more from the inside for me, and just making sure I rotate and keep, being more, not being stuck, but being more rotation through the ball. That's
more hands, right?
Technically, yes, yeah.
More hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I mean, look, you get 2/100ths of a second in the downswing. It's going to be hard to overdo it.
Since you started working with him in terms of shaping shots, what is the area, left, right, high, low, that you have seen the greatest improvement?
Probably his draw. When we started as a kid, when he was younger, because he had so much speed, he could really take like massive divots, and the divots would point way left, and he'd still hit it straight. And that's the reason is that the club's moving down, it's moving to the right. So as it's moving to the right, just because it's moving down, Cameron would come over it more and swing left. And so that's just when he had like a shot. And so he's much better now at hitting it like higher and softer and moving it both ways, but he needs to cut it. Like, I remember watching a DJ interview like 2 months ago, and they asked him, so DJ, when you go to draw your driver, he's like, oh, I ain't trying to drive my driver, bro. Like, I'm not trying to draw my driver. I don't want to ever draw my driver. I stopped trying to do that 5 years ago. Well, the thing is, some of the guys are really working on their draw because that gives them the best ability to compete. These guys can burn it out from left to right and still have a massive advantage. And that's the shot that he sees. So, yeah, he can do everything now, but now it's like, okay, he can do that. Now, let's have him go back to being his authentic self. And that's the shot he wants to hit.
Okay. That draw, that was 41 feet of curve, which is a little bit over 10 yards. Is that normal? Is that customary if I say, hit a draw for me? Is a 10-yard bend about normal?
I mean, if it's a tuck left pin, like, usually when I get into grooves and I start feeling, like I said, if it's, like I said, if the far left pin, and it suits for it, I'll always I'll usually give myself a little more extra room to hair. But it's a little more comfortable factor. So yeah, I mean, like I said, if I would have started that, right side of this green, I would have drawn perfectly.
Okay.
And that's the thing is that the thing about the data, right? 41 feet is like, oh, 41 feet. Did that look like 41
No.
feet? It just, you see, so it's data and TrackMan and all that's been excellent. But I'll have a player hit a draw and they look up and they love everything about it. Then they hear the number. That's like too much to the right, isn't it? And I'm like, no, that's what produced that shot. So you kind of got to think like it's taking me back. Like, how did Hogan and all those guys get so good? They had no information. They had no video. They kind of did it. Ooh, that's how Cameron did it. Oh, that feels right. Ooh, that goes left. Ooh, that one was good. I'll do that again. And just through trial and error, define what's right for them. But we're also scared to make errors, right? Like kids aren't even allowed to make mistakes anymore. Whereas that's really, to me, the guy who fails the most and stays enthusiastic about it probably gets to the top.
So from the draw to a little cut, show everybody a ball that's just going to kind of melt to the right. And Sean mentioned that we are all capable of slicing a golf ball.
Yeah.
What you're going to do is have a ball that's just going to just kind of meander from a starting point and fall slightly to the right.
I mean, that's absolutely the safest shot in golf. Like that shot, the fade, because of the speed he has, the fade actually works closer to the geometry of what the swing's supposed to be.
Okay, that carried 181, and it moved 11 feet. So from its starting point to the ending point, that's tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, that's the safest shot imaginable. Keeping
Well, especially
your dispersion that narrow.
But it's like, see, as we just talk about it, I'm still like getting pissed at myself for last year. Is the thing is Cameron takes to the top, and then because of how he moves anatomically and how he creates speed, once he's here, he just starts to rotate, just pure rotation, no different than a pitcher. So as he kind of stays in his right leg, which is the same as pitchers, we see them step, but they're trying to stay right. Is once he goes here, he starts turning. The mass of the club here just stays behind him, and as it stays behind him, it starts to fall behind him. So as a kid, they told me, you're too under the plane, you need to get on plane. Don't worry